Right, so I thought I'd just do this little video just to help anyone out with this problem. It's a massive problem. As soon as you Google it, you'll just see million forum entries for CIM unit field on Vauxhall. So for anyone who's not familiar with it, I think it's sort of any Vauxhall model between 2005 and 2010. The CIM unit, which is the electronic unit behind the steering wheel, where your stalks are connected to in here. You have a common fault where it fails and you lose your horn, basically, so you have no horn. Another symptoms of, to narrow it down to the CIM, apparently I haven't seen this. In my case, it was just literally the horn didn't work. These controls worked, these controls worked, the lights, everything else worked. So it was literally just the horn, nothing else. I couldn't find a story from anyone else where it was just the horn. Everyone seemed to have problems where they wouldn't have the horn. Then they would get the horn when they adjusted the, changed the lights, put the side lights on, put the main beams on, stuff like that, I think. Also, people had when they were pressing the buttons on the steering wheel, then they could press the horn at the same time, the horn would work, but then the horn just wouldn't work on its own. So that point at the CIM, the one I had is just the horn. So obviously I had to check everything else first. I checked the horn, I removed it, put it on the battery, it went off straight away. That's that, fine. Checked all the earths, checked all the wiring, checked the loom on the way up, everything good. So the only thing left in the equation is this CIM unit, which is obviously a bit of a pain. It's quite easy to do. I mean, just follow the manual. The only obviously dangerous bit is removing the airbag. So if you're removing the airbag, make sure you know what you're doing. Follow all the safety guidelines in the manual. Disconnect the battery and just, you can unplug it really. It just pops out. There's some holes in the back of here that you just push a screwdriver in or something in there and just give it a little wiggle around. It just like hooks in on these little bars, and the bars move out of the way, and then you just unhook it. So you can just pop one side off and then pop the other side off, and then this will come off, and then you just have, mine had one single electrical connector. Most of them that I've seen online have two electrical connectors. I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm not an expert in that sort of thing, so I don't know. But yeah, mine had one connector, and for me it seemed to be the hardest one to get, was the one with the one connector. I don't know if it's rarer, newer. I think someone said maybe the early ones have the single connector and the very late ones have the single connector, and the ones in between seem to have two connectors, so you obviously need the right one. But anyway, you unplug that, take the airbag off, then it's, you can see the horn wires. There's the two brown wires in there on two contacts, that's the horn switch, and you can, some people have had it where there's been a bit of corrosion on these little contacts, or they're just loose. So you can check them first, make sure they're nice and tight, and you just clean them up and stuff like that. There's one, and then you could connect it all back up, try it again. Another thing is, someone did, they found some loose wires on the back of these connectors, so they just sort of reseated the connector in both sides of there, and then their horn worked after that. So it's worth checking these things as well, because the last thing you want to do is change the CIM, because it's very expensive. But anyway, you can check them. Yeah, you can do that. It's a case of just following the manual, removing, there's a bolt in the middle, keeping the steering column on, and the steering wheel on the steering column, and there's a little mark. Make sure that I just put my wheel straight first, so it's straight. The mark's going straight down at 6 o'clock, and when you put everything back on, obviously you have to get that dead on, so obviously you're gonna knacker your steering. After that, it's just the top and the bottom sort of plastic covers, pop them off. The little bezel for the lock where the key goes in, the lock, the key barrel. Yeah, it's quite easy really. You can do it in a few do in a few minutes, really, get down to it. Then you just remove the SIM unit. I actually found, I had to look for a donor unit straight up. I checked so you have got a connector on the left hand side here as you're sitting. You can see that's where the main connector goes in, and you can check in there the contacts. You can clean them up a bit, maybe try that, or check the contacts on the actual connector on the loom itself, so you can always check that as well. Mine was clean, mine was fine, there was nothing in there, there's no signs of anything. I looked at it with a magnifying glass, stuff like that. I couldn't see anything wrong with that, so I just went straight for the SIM. But yeah, I had to find a donor unit on the internet. There is, I'll put a picture up so you can see when you're looking at it with the part numbers and the manufacturer's name and stuff like that. You can see on the top left there's a long number, and then there's another number underneath that, and then there's some other numbers on the other side, and there's a tag at the bottom with some other numbers. You speak to these people and they're like, it has to be the exact same one, or it won't work. In my case, the one I had with the single wire, couldn't find one in the world. It's like the rarest one in the universe. The one, there's an abundance of these ones with the 2 wires with this very similar part number everywhere. Obviously couldn't find one. Then luckily I finally found one on eBay. It was only about 25 quid, and it had on the left hand side, there's part numbers matched exactly, but it looked a lot older than the one I had. It had the single wire, looked a lot older and sort of dustier and stuff like that, and the date on it was a lot older. The one I had was like a modded one that had been replaced when they did the recall and stuff like that, or whatever. And the numbers on the right hand side didn't match this one, so then I was a bit worried. So then I found a guy on eBay who reprograms your transfers the information from the bad SIM to the donor SIM, the new SIM. And I just took some pictures and sent it to him and said, look, will this work with this one? Here's the difference in part numbers. And he said, yeah, that one will definitely work. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if it's 100%, but with mine, it worked, where I just went off the part numbers on the left hand side, the 2 main part numbers. I'll show you in a picture in a second. But yeah, so that worked. Basically, I removed the stalks. That's easy. You just push sort of a little bit of wire in there or something. You can poke it and it releases, and you just pull them out, and then you can just slot them back in afterwards. So just keep them, pop them out, keep them. Get your donor unit. There's this guy who was really good. Labeled it donor unit. The one that I bought was £25 off eBay. And then my suspected defective unit, I labeled it up original. Took the stalks off that, put it in one big package, put a little letter in there explaining which is what I want done. Then he had an item listed in his eBay shop, basically for reprogramming, like transferring the information over from your old SIM, the broken one, to the new one. Sorry, I'm waffling on a bit. This is taking longer than I actually thought, but I just thought it's good because it took me ages to get this information. I just couldn't find it on the internet. So anyway, he transfers all the information for the immobilizer, all that and everything, because obviously you can't just put a new one in because your keys won't work. You just have loads of problems. They've got to transfer all the information from the old one to the new one, and that's it. Then you look in the forums, there's a lot of people saying that no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can only do this once, or you can only do this, you can only do this with Vauxhall once with a new unit, you can't do it again, or loads of stuff like that. But this guy assured me, he went, no, you can swap from an old to an old, no problem, as long as it's the same part number, stuff like that. So I was like, all right. So I sent both to him. So this costs about £90. So it's expensive. The donor unit, obviously you can get it, the varying prices anyway. I got mine for 25 quid, but I've seen them up to like 60 quid or something like that. So it's expensive. If you go to Vauxhall for a new one though, with a car, it's an old car now, and all be have high mileage on, you take this to Vauxhall and you're going to be paying like, I think at least anywhere from £350 to £450, something like that. It's a brand new one, but and it'll work and it'll all get done. But do you want to pay that, or do you want to go down this route? Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm making this video, because it's worked for me. I had no confidence in it at all, but it worked for me. So yeah, I received it back straight away off this guy within days. So it's a quick process, whatever he does. On the donor unit that I got back, he kept my old one. I got the one I got back. It looked like it had some new contacts on the back, and I think I don't know, but these look like the contacts that do break or oxidize or whatever, and they look like they've been renewed on my old one that I've supplied. I can't remember checking them before I sent it off, but it's dirty and it's old, and then this is very, very, very clean new pins. So maybe as part of the process he just sorts that bit out as well, does something, mod something in there to make it last, basically. Possibly, or I could be wrong, I don't know, might be talking rubbish. So yeah, basically reverse process, fit that back in. There's a little bezel in the middle with the electronic, the ribbon on there. So obviously you have to set that. There's marks on it. There's an explanation on the side of the actual sim unit that tells you how to do it. So just follow that, follow the manual, whatever. The guy that sent me back, it was already set. Marks were already lined up, so I'm ready to go. So put it in, put it back in. Obviously battery's still out. Connected to the airbag. Put it all back together, connected the battery. As you can see, it's working, this is like the greatest sound I've ever heard in my life right now, to be honest. But yeah, that's it. I'll put the information up. Well, when I say information, I'll put some pictures up showing you the part numbers and stuff like that, and a few bits. Obviously I've just remembered now as well, before you go near the sim, another thing is obviously the fuse. Check the fuse, do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they might just bypass that, so that's another place you want to go. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Good. Maybe a snip of the price that would have been, still expensive.